In a galaxy full of warriors, scholars, and diplomats, only a handful of Jedi ever truly transcended the Order itself. Not just skilled fighters, not just wise masters. We're talking about the ones who changed the course of history, who faced the darkest evil the galaxy had ever seen and didn't blink. Today, we're ranking the top 10 greatest Jedi of all time, canon only. No legends, no EU, just what's been confirmed on screen, in the animated series, and in official canon material. Fair warning, there will be controversial picks. Stay until the end. Let's get into it. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the Jedi who broke every rule in the book and was arguably right about all of it. Qui-Gon Jinn never sat on the Jedi Council. He was offered a seat and turned it down. Because Qui-Gon didn't serve the Council, he served the Force itself. His connection to the living Force was unlike almost any Jedi of his era. It was Qui-Gon who sensed that a slave boy on Tatooine had the highest midichlorian count ever recorded. It was Qui-Gon who looked at Anakin Skywalker and saw the chosen one when no one else did. And perhaps most importantly, it was Qui-Gon who discovered the path to immortality through the Force. Force Ghost Consciousness, that was Qui-Gon's discovery. He passed it to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan passed it to Yoda. It literally shaped the endgame of the entire saga. He died too early, but his fingerprints are all over everything that followed. At number 9, the most underrated member of the Jedi High Council, full stop. Plo Koon could survive unaided in the vacuum of space. He could generate electrical force energy, a technique that barely appears anywhere else in canon. As a general, he was one of the most effective commanders the Republic had in the Clone Wars. That alone earns him a spot. But what makes him special isn't ability, it's character. He was one of the only Jedi who treated clone troopers as people, not assets, not numbers. He learned their names, fought beside them as brothers. The Wolf Pack, his unit, were some of the most loyal soldiers in the Grand Army because he gave them something almost no other Jedi bothered with: respect. Then Order 66. Shot down over Cato Nemoidia, no warning. A Jedi who gave everything, erased in an instant by the people he trusted most. At number 8, the Syrian Jedi Master who sat on the High Council and proved himself one of the most formidable warriors the Order ever produced. And one of the most criminally overlooked. High Council seat, Clone Wars general on some of the most brutal fronts in the conflict, and on Hypori, before most of the Order had even heard of Grievous. He faced him directly, alone, and survived long enough to be rescued. Against Grievous, alone. That's not luck. Then Maigito, Order 66. I want you to watch that scene again, because it hits differently when you know who this man was. The clones open fire, and Ki-Adi-Mundi turns around. When every other Jedi in the galaxy was caught off guard, he turned around and fought back. He didn't make it. But that turn tells you everything. A warrior to the last breath. Number 7. And before you come for me in the comments, hear me out. Ahsoka Tano is arguably the most complete Force user in all of canon. She's not technically a Jedi at the point of her greatest feats, but she was trained as one, fights like one, and has surpassed most who carry the title. She survived Order 66 through sheer wit and Force instinct. She faced Vader, her own master, on Malachor and refused to run. She survived that too. In Rebels, in Ahsoka, across decades of storytelling, she just keeps getting more powerful, more wise, more real. She didn't need the Jedi Order's blessing to become one of the greatest warriors the Force ever produced. Number 6, and yes, we're ranking Dooku the Jedi, not the Sith Lord, the man he was before all of that, Yoda's own Padawan. He trained Qui-Gon Jinn, who found Anakin Skywalker. He sat on the High Council, and his mastery of Makashi, Form 2, the most technically precise lightsaber style ever developed, was considered unmatched in his era. In the Geonosis hangar, he beats Obi-Wan, then beats Anakin, the Chosen One, without breaking a sweat. Here's the tragedy. He left the Order before he fell. He saw the Senate's corruption, took it to the Council, and they dismissed him. He was right about almost everything. The Republic was failing. The Sith were already inside it. Dooku saw it, and the Order's response was to look away. His fall doesn't erase what he was. It indicts what the Order failed to be. Number 5. The man with the purple lightsaber. And there's a reason that saber is a different color from everyone else's. Mace Windu created Vapad, a lightsaber form so aggressive, so close to the dark side, that only he could wield it without being consumed. He took the darkness of his opponents and used it as fuel. That's not just skill, that's mastery, at a level most Jedi were afraid to even study. Think about what that moment means. Sidious, the most powerful Sith Lord in history, was losing that fight. Mace had him cornered. The only thing that stopped him was Anakin's intervention. He didn't lose to Palpatine. He was betrayed. Number 4. The Negotiator. The High Ground. The man who trained the Chosen One, survived his fall, kept the hope of the Jedi alive alone on a desert planet for 20 years, and then made the most important sacrifice in the history of the galaxy. Obi-Wan's strength was never raw power. It was mastery. Complete, total, unshakable mastery of Form 3 Soresu, the most defensive lightsaber form ever developed. In combat, he was nearly impossible to kill because he made himself into a fortress. His opponents burned themselves out trying to break through. Beyond combat, Obi-Wan carried Qui-Gon's knowledge of Force immortality and perfected it. He became the bridge between the old order and whatever came next. Without Obi-Wan's 20 years in the desert, there is no Luke. Without Luke, there is no Vader's redemption. Without that redemption, the Empire never falls. Number 3 is where it gets complicated. Anakin Skywalker was, by every measurable standard, the most powerful Force-sensitive being who ever lived. Highest midi-chlorian count, born of the Force itself, a Jedi who taught himself techniques his masters hadn't considered, a warrior who won battles that shouldn't have been winnable. He ranks at 3 and not higher because the Jedi he became, the one we're ranking, was ultimately incomplete. His power was real, his potential was real, but a Jedi isn't just power. It's wisdom, it's clarity, it's knowing who you are when the galaxy tries to tell you otherwise. Anakin never fully got there, and the galaxy paid for it. But what he did in his final moments, throwing Palpatine into the reactor shaft, choosing his son over his own survival, that was the Jedi he always had the potential to be. That act alone earns him this spot. Number 2, 900 years. Let that sit for a moment. Yoda served the Jedi Order for 9 centuries. He trained generations of Jedi. He shaped the philosophy, the culture, the very language of what it meant to be one with the Force. But combat is the least interesting thing about Yoda. He carried Qui-Gon's teachings. He watched Anakin be born and fall and be redeemed. He survived the Purge. He mastered Force immortality. He returned from beyond death to guide Luke, and then to set fire to the sacred Jedi texts, because even at 900 years old, he was still learning. That's the thing about Yoda that makes him number 2. He never stopped growing. 9 centuries of wisdom, and he still found room to be wrong, to adapt, to evolve. That's not just the greatest Jedi of his era. That's what the Force looks like when it finds the right vessel. Number 1. The farm boy who became a legend. Luke Skywalker should not exist. He had no Jedi Order, no temple, no proper master for most of his training. He learned in fragments, from a ghost in the snow, from a 900-year-old hermit in a swamp, from confronting the darkness inside himself and choosing the light anyway. And then, the Last Jedi. Say what you want about the film, what Luke does on Crate is one of the most staggering Force feats in canon history. He projects himself across the entire galaxy with enough clarity and physical presence to fool everyone, buying the Resistance the time they need to survive. And then he becomes one with the Force, peacefully, fully, completely. Chosen. That's why Luke is number 1. Not because he was the most powerful, not because he had the highest midichlorian count, but because he did what no Jedi before him could. He faced the full weight of the dark side and refused to become it. He saved his father. He redeemed the Chosen One. He changed the entire trajectory of the galaxy through faith, love, and the purest expression of what the Jedi were always meant to be.
So there you have it, the top 10 greatest Jedi in Star Wars canon ranked.
Do you agree with the list? Is Yoda too low? Should Obi-Wan crack the top 3? Did Dooku deserve a spot at all? Drop your ranking in the comments. I read every single one. If you want a deep dive on any of these Jedi specifically, let me know below and I'll make it happen. And if you're new here, subscribe. New Star Wars content every week. May the Force be with you.